Welcome in, Tiger fans, to another episode of Bayou Bengal Bites. We had a great weekend with LSU sweeping their regional, and we're here to look into next week where we got Kentucky coming into town, and hopefully we Tigers getting on to Omaha. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing pretty good. Good to see the Fighting Tigers of LSU live another day, and we'll face off against an SEC foe that we're quite familiar with. So we're definitely going to get into a lot of action on today's show.
Exactly, definitely. So let's get into the rundown. So, first topic of discussion, we had LSU's pitching coach Wes Johnson announce that he's accepting a head coaching position over at Georgia. Timing of it kind of sucked because they announced it right after LSU's championship game. Luckily, that they were able to tell the team before they found out on Twitter or social media. Congrats to Wes. It was inevitable. He was eventually going to become a head coach somewhere, especially after developing Paul Skeens into the pitcher that he is. He's staying on with the team for the rest of the postseason, which is good to hear. But I mean, it's lock and reload. I mean, we had a pitcher coach last year leave, go become a head coach of Washington. Now, same thing this year. So, what are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, just a coaching carousel doesn't happen only in college football, but also happens in college baseball. Wes Johnson, it was inevitable, like you said. You don't leave your first place Minnesota Twins to not come back to the college realm and not be a head coach. He does have SEC experience being at Mississippi State, Arkansas, and now LSU, and he has quite the resume. Getting a guy like Paul Skeens on the mound and developing him into pretty much a first round MLB draft prospect, he's going to be a top 5 pick coming
Yeah.
into this year's draft. But I think that looking at this Georgia program, they have been up and down. They've had a couple of years with Scott Strickland where they were the national seed, but they got bounced in the first round of the regional. So they were just looking. It was just time. Scott Strickland
Right.
has been there for almost a decade now, and Georgia hasn't even been to Omaha. That team hasn't been to Omaha, I think, since the 2008 season when they lost to
Oh,
the
wow. It's been a
first
minute.
first 4 seed on Fresno State, and Aaron Judge was on that Fresno State team, and he's a pretty dang good baseball player if you've been
I'd
around the
say so.
MLB
Yeah.
landscape. But congratulations to Wes Johnson. I just feel like this news, I just hate when it comes, during the postseason, especially when the players are trying to lock in. It's pretty much their lives now. Like school's done, they're
Yep.
just
It's all
baseball players.
baseball.
It's pretty much they're playing like a professional baseball team. But I just feel like this news needs to be after the season. That way the players could focus on the task at hand. But it's definitely going to be interesting to see what Wes Johnson does at an SEC school like Georgia.
Yeah, and this is his first head coaching gig, so maybe some hurdles to jump at the beginning, but we'll see the staff he puts together and how he does going forward. So to recap the weekend, LSU had a clean sweep 3-0 of the Baton Rouge Regional, took down Tulane in game one, 7-4. And then we had moved on to Oregon State for game 2 and 3. Had some lightning delays, some questionable pitching decisions by Jay Johnson, at least from the fan base. But now looking back at it, it was a bright and perfect decision. To throw Paul Skeens game one gives you a complete game. I think he was up around 120 pitches. Saved the bullpen for the rest of the weekend. And, with the lightning delays in game two, Ty Floyd was burned after 3 innings, but Thatcher Hurd came in a huge spot, gave up a few runs, but he also had 12 strikeouts and was able to hand it over to Gavin Guidry to close out the game 5-4 against Oregon State. And then on Monday, the game three, the bats just erupted with home runs. We had back-to-back home runs from Hayden Travinsky and Kay Beloso in back-to-back games. Dugas got in on the action. I mean, it was just a great overall performance by the team. We did let up an inside the park home run in the last inning of game three that I don't think a lot of people realize, but it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, Dylan Cruz named MVP of the regional. I think it honestly could have been Josh Pearson with the way he performed with the back-to-back triples. But Tyler, what are your thoughts on the team? I mean, I'm feeling confident taking on Kentucky this weekend.
Yeah, I think that really that rough stretch that you had during the SEC schedule of losing a series to Auburn, losing a series to Mississippi State is what woke up this team. The bullpen had a lot of concerns back then, but now I think that the bullpen, you're seeing their growth, especially from the freshmen. Griffin Aaron got in the action. Gavin Guidry doesn't care
Just
who's
dog.
just calling the pitches or what. He's going to step on the mound and strike you out. That's the mentality that he has. That's why I put him in the hype video.
Yep.
Staring down South Carolina. So hopefully he does the same. when we face off against Kentucky. But I swear, it's not an LSU regional without any delays. I feel like every year we have it, whether it's lightning, whether it's raining. I mean, if it's in the winter, we probably get a blizzard, and we probably get a blizzard delay if we had it. So Mother Nature
Yep.
just not a friend of it. It was beautiful in Baton Rouge for 3 straight weeks, and then all of a sudden it just rains hell when LSU's on the field. But
Yeah, we can't get around it.
yeah, can't get around it at all. But yeah, the offense in game one, they played a lot of small ball. That's definitely going to work out for this team if they make it to Omaha because not TD, I want to call it TG Ameritrade, but now it's Charles Schwab Field. They keep
Oh, they
changing it
changed
every
it.
year on me. But they're going to definitely have to play a lot of small ball. It's not a hitter friendly park if they make it there. But the offense in game number 2 and game number 3 exploded, and Josh Pearson really stepped up to the plate. Had that triple, and then Dylan Cruz, the next at bat hit a 2-run bomb to put the Tigers back in striking distance. And then the inning after that, like you mentioned, Travinski, Beloso, back-to-back jacks. Travinski, man, what a season that he's having. Milazzo
Yep.
was definitely great at the start of the season, but you're seeing a Travinski that is very healthy, and he is
He's
bringing
hitting
all that
absolute
energy to
nukes
this
out
team.
there.
I think that his defense has been a little inconsistent, but he definitely picks it up at the plate with his bat. And like you mentioned, Braden Jobert with that home run to put you up 6-5, and then you had Gavin Guidry slam the door. But on game number 3, the championship game, Ty Floyd take. He looked really sharp. I know that he only had 3 innings of work, but he had 70 pitches. Oregon State's
Mhm.
offense did a good job of battling and getting that pitching count up. Oregon State's a very good team, so I think that LSU, sweeping them is definitely, adding on to what they have already faced in their SEC schedule. But going on to that, then we saw Thatcher Hurd take the mound, 12 strikeouts.
Yeah,
He
that
was
was
definitely
phenomenal experience.
yeah, he was definitely an MVP of the tournament. And then Riley Cooper, he had 4 innings pitch of no-hit baseball. I know he gave up that 2-run home run, but outside of that, he had a phenomenal outing. And like you mentioned, they went lefty after that to close the deal. So they didn't even use any of the pitchers this weekend. We didn't even see Collins take the mound. We didn't see Javen
Right.
Coleman. We didn't see Blake Money and Christian Little as well, but I'm sure that
I don't
LSU
think we'll
fans,
ever see Christian Little in the
yeah,
postseason.
unless we're
So,
up really big, which I don't
oh,
think that's going to happen down the stretch. Kentucky's going to play you close, and then if you make it to Omaha, I just don't think that this team, they have the capability of run rolling them, but whenever you get to 16 teams left in the field, it's definitely going to be all close games. So all in
right.
all, I will definitely take a 3-0. I feel like the regional play was the one where LSU is the most vulnerable, especially with how their pitching is set up. But pitching, I got to give it to them. Got to give all the credit. And our picks, our players last week, man, we hit it out of the ballpark with all of our
And they hit it out of the
pitching.
ballpark too.
That's why, especially the Tony Shastry sign, Dylan Cruz,
Yeah, we need
and
to
putting some
start
spice on it.
a petition. If a player hits the Tony sign, there needs to be free Tonys for the fans or like a Tony's cannon, and it just starts raining down onto the field.
Or they
Because
could
I
do
mean,
like Ole Miss
at,
with their
at
beer
that point,
showers, hand out
yeah,
Tony
it's a Tony
Shastries, and
shower.
every home run you throw it. Might get a little burn in
at,
your eyes, but it adds some
yeah,
environment to the student section.
yeah. I mean, at that point in the game, I had Josh Pearson kind of as the MVP of the regional because he was just sparking game 2 and was just showing up every time he came to the plate. But you can't pass up Dylan Cruz after he hits a Cruz missile off the sign in deep center field. So, I mean, every time Oregon State scored, LSU would put up 4, Oregon State would put up 2. Okay. LSU would come out again, put up 3, Oregon State would put up 1. It was like back and forth, back and forth. They were always cutting it in half. And then eventually LSU said, I'm tired of this. All right, we're going to put up 7 and you ain't scoring no more. And so luckily we got up big and it was a comfortable, we put our foot down on pitching wise and got it done. Clean sweep. I think that's one of the better teams we faced all years out of the season against Oregon State. So sets us up well for Kentucky. So Kentucky got it done in their regional, beating Indiana in their championship game to travel on down to Baton Rouge. This is the second time the Tigers have faced the Wildcats in Baton Rouge. Of course, we took that series 2-3. First game, we 10-run ruled the Wildcats, but game 2 and 3, Kentucky got us pretty good, and then 3, we won on a walk-off, bases loaded, hit by pitch situation with Tommy White getting beamed to win the game. But Uh, Paul Skeens on the mound. He let up a few hits, a few runs during that run rule, but I think he's going to come out here and just be locked in. He's 24 strikeouts away from catching Ben McDonald's record. I'm thinking 12 today or on Saturday against Kentucky. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Yeah, he definitely is going to be gunning for that Ben McDonald strikeout record. I think that he definitely is going to get it if LSU plays another week in Omaha. But yeah, this is a team that LSU has already faced, and that game one victory, LSU flexed their muscles, and I think that like means didn't have a good outing, so he's definitely going to be looking some for revenge as well. Ty Floyd is also going to be looking to have a better outing. Game number two, LSU got out to a hot start. They were up 6-2, and then Kentucky's offense stormed back. Braden Jobert had that misplay in the outfield, but ever since that play, he's definitely cleaned up his defense, and then the bat has picked him up. So LSU's offense is definitely got to show up like it did in game one. I don't know if we're going to need any more grand slams this weekend, but it definitely wouldn't hurt against this Kentucky offense.
I'll take it. If they want to give
plays
it
a lot
to
of
us, I'll
small
take it.
ball. Looking at the stats, LSU is first in the SEC in batting average. Kentucky is second. And last series that we saw this, Kentucky pitched backwards. We're not going to see this.
Yeah, that's not happening.
They're going to pitch their ace against Paul Skeens. They're not just going to gift you a game, because Kentucky's got probably to win this series, they have to take game one, because I think that if LSU wins game one, all the momentum's with them, especially in Alex Box Stadium. I know it's at 2 p.m. on Saturday, but
I'm sure it's going to be packed.
It's going to be packed to the brim. We got the same time against the Florida State series in 2019. It was packed. Hopefully looking for a better outcome in this series than in 2019. But I definitely think this is going to be an exciting series. Kentucky is definitely no slouch, but you've seen them before. I think that Oregon State definitely has the better offense, but now Kentucky has a better pitching staff. But LSU's seen all the pitching staff. That Friday night guy, if we see him again, he let up like 10 runs and 2 innings.
I don't think he's going to touch the mound in this series.
No, definitely not going to touch the mound. But Kentucky definitely breezed through their regional. I had West Virginia coming out of that. Didn't really have any faith in Kentucky. I feel like West Virginia was playing a little bit of down, but you got to give it to Kentucky. Their offense stepped up, put up 10 runs. They lost that first game against Indiana, but after that, they really flipped the switch. So this is going to be a heck of a series in Baton Rouge. Kentucky is going to definitely give you all. And we'll see if Jared Jones comes back up to the mound, because if you remember last time, he had some choice words. So, yeah, this last time we saw these two teams, it got a little bit chippy.
Well, Kentucky likes to talk a lot. They like to chirp the pitchers. They like to chirp out in the field. So, I mean, if our guys show up and get it done, and you can talk all you want, but if you ain't backing it up, just look at the scoreboard, buddy. It ain't happening. I mean, they also question I have for you is they like to bunt. I think they lead the SEC in bunts and steals. So Hayden Travinski, while he brings huge power to the plate, do you see Jay going with Milazzo at any point during the series because of his defensive play? I mean, Travinski was looking a little worrisome back there, not really shaping up some balls, but he did throw a runner out. I think there was only one or two steal attempts. So, I mean, do you think he sticks with Travinski or maybe shifts to Milazzo?
I think that Jay has just been more of an offensive coach during his time, especially at Arizona. He was the same way. And, Kentucky loves to run the bases. They love to play small ball, but Oregon State was pretty similar as well. We saw them bunt a couple of times whenever they had runners on first and second, tried to move them out. And then LSU was able to scratch and claw their way out of the inning. We did see Hayden Travinski throw out a runner. It was a crucial play. Oregon State, if they don't get that one, Oregon State's probably up 4-5-0 going into that lightning delay. And who knows the way that this LSU offense work if they're out of the game. But Oregon State had 91 stolen bases on the season, so I think that LSU is going to be prepared for what Kentucky is going to throw at them.
Right.
But you got to have offense over defense at this point. I know that Travinski, we saw a lot of pass balls. You just got to, I don't know if his glove is too small, he's not catching the ball, or
I think Gavin Guidry just had so much spin on that curveball that he just couldn't hold on to it. Thatcher Hurts as well.
Curveball. That was a nasty pitch.
That's the nastiest curveball I think I've ever seen from a college pitcher. I mean, that was insane.
But I wouldn't be surprised, I think that they are going to start Travinsky at the start of the game, but say if it's like close, like if it's tie game going into the eighth and ninth inning, then I would not be surprised if Jay Johnson. We've seen him make the defensive changes. Bringing in Ben DePolt for Gavin Dugas, he's definitely not
Right.
scared to do that. So that's something I definitely wouldn't be surprised. But I think that we're definitely going to see Travinsky. There's no way that you bench him. There's no way that you
No.
can even bench K. Belosa at the DH. So I think that Travinsky's locked in at the catcher, and hopefully, I'm definitely sure that he's aggravated with himself of how many pass balls that he's been giving
I
up.
bet
So
you they've been working on it. That's for
yeah,
sure.
but
So,
yeah,
I
they're going
mean,
to be working on practice. This is a team that they've already played as well. Travinsky caught game number 2 against Ty Floyd, and Milazzo had in game number 1 and game number 3. So I think that Travinsky is going to be prepared behind the plate and what Kentucky's going to throw at them, especially with their small ball approach.
for sure. And I mean, I like the lineup that we rolled out in the regional where you had Trey playing first. He
Yeah,
saved a lot of plays there. I think you got
yeah,
to keep him at
especially
first
that one
because
play.
yeah, I mean, you got Joe Bear and Pearson who are playing amazing right now. Keep them in left and right field. Dylan Cruz at center. Then you go Tommy White, Jordan Thompson, Dugas, and Trey rounding out the infield. So I think you keep Travinsky, but like if it's like a bottom of the ninth, he's not coming up. It's a close game. Maybe put Milazzo in
Yeah.
to give you a little more insurance back there. So let's get to our predictions for the regional or the super regional. Super regional predictions. I think we both agree that we're picking LSU to win this game. Now, how it gets done, I'm going with the 2-0 sweep. I think Paul Skeens comes in, shuts the door on these Wildcats. They can talk all they want. He'll talk right back. He'll bark and they won't bite. So I'm going Paul Skeens to take game one. I think our offense shows up and just an explosion of power, a lot of home runs in this game. And then I think game two is going to be a little closer with Ty Floyd coming in. But I think it's going to go Ty Floyd, and then when he's out of the game, I think Jay goes to Thatcher Hurd. As we've seen from the regional, he's not saving Hurd as a starter for a potential game three. He's in the mindset of you have to win today to play tomorrow, which I like from a coach. You put your best pitcher in, bring in Hurd to close out the game, possibly Gavin Guidry if you need him. But I'm taking LSU clean 2-0 sweep. What's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm taking the Tigers as well, but I think that this is one of the series that's going to go 3 games. I just
Okay.
feel like I think that Kentucky and LSU are both playing better baseball than what they are in April. LSU's offense was cruising, but their pitching was a little bit shaky. But I think that LSU's pitching is definitely better on now than it was in mid-April, and then Kentucky, you could say the same as well. That pitching backwards didn't really work out in their favor. It almost did. The game number 2 and game number 3 it was close. So I think that the Paul Skeens game is definitely going to be the needle of who's going to win this. If LSU wins, then I could definitely see the momentum shift and go
Right.
2-0. But I just feel like this Kentucky team is going to steal at least one. I think they're probably, if I had to pick, I would probably pick them to win game number 2. So I think that LSU overall is the more team. I know that Kentucky, the way that they've been playing, especially with their offense. But West Virginia, Indiana doesn't have the pitching that LSU has. So I think that
Right.
LSU, honestly, they didn't even really play their best in that Kentucky series. The game number 1 was probably the best they played, and then game number 2 and game number 3 was
That was
shaky.
the start of the kind of struggles that we went
Yeah,
through was during that series. So they've
yeah.
bounced back since then.
So I don't know. I'm not a guy that who always like picks a sweep, especially with my own team. I kind of want to get over with a safe pick as well. I would love to see the sweep. That way, book our ticket, book our flights, and LSU fans can start, taking over, and going after that Jello shot challenge that Ole Miss posted.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
definitely.
that's going to happen. If LSU makes Omaha, Ole Miss, you can kiss that
They
record goodbye.
they better restock the bars because we coming for it. So, but yeah, I think we both agree
Yep.
LSU taking the series, and we'll see the Tigers in Omaha. I don't have the graphic for the Around Town news, but to get to it, we've got Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz named 2 of the 3 finalists for the Golden Spikes Award. The other one is I can't pronounce his last name, but it's the pitcher hitter combo from Florida, Jake.
Jack Caglione.
There you go, Caglione. So 2 out of 3 for the Tigers. We'll see if one of them dons the award. My pick would be Dylan Cruz. I think he definitely deserves it, and it would just be the icing on the cake for his college career, minus a national championship ring.
Yeah,
So
last week we were talking about both of them. Skeens being the National Player of the Week, and then Dylan Cruz being the SEC Player of the Week. Jack Caglione has definitely been a phenomenal story at Florida, but since we're an LSU show, of course we're going to pick our
Yeah, we're picking
LSU
LSU players.
player to
Definitely.
win. I think ultimately that Paul Skeens is probably going to take away the award.
Okay.
This is a fan vote, so I mean LSU fans are definitely going to out Florida fans.
The only
So,
issue I have is if they possibly split the votes between the two of them. So that's my concern. But
but
I think we have enough people to vote for Paul Skeens and
oh
Dylan
yeah,
Cruz.
I
So,
mean LSU. If you've seen like the photo of the weeks, I feel like every week they're
oh yeah,
winning that. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that Dylan Cruz, Paul Skeens has had, the pitching season of a lifetime, but Dylan Cruz didn't win it last season. I feel like he should have. So I think that this season he's definitely been better. I don't care if he had a slump of 1 week or not.
his
Like
slump is
it's a
half the
yeah,
hitters' averages.
a
So
slump like a slump for him is not a slump for a normal baseball player. I mean, they would
right.
take that with a heartbeat. He's still chasing after Rafe Rhymes. I think
No,
he's
I
at
think he leads it
432.
now.
Yeah,
I
he
think
does lead it
he's
by
1 point
0.1.
ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 432. Rafe Rhymes ended the season at 431. So Dylan Cruz
Still
is
a
going
few
to have a
games
lot of
left.
time as well to chase after Rafe Rhymes' record. I think he's ultimately going to break it. You're going to see two broken records. Paul Skeens is going to break Ben McDonald's, and Dylan Cruz will be the lead man. And you might as well, if he wins the national championship, I think he's done enough to retire number three. I'm not saying like build a statue or for anything of him. If we're talking football, that Joe Burrow statue should be there by Tiger Stadium
I
right
like
now.
it. Retire number 3. I
Yeah.
think that's a good
I
take
think
there.
he has to win the national championship though for that to happen.
I
All
agree.
the guys that you've seen up there in Alex Box Stadium have won the big dance. So if the Tigers can hoist that national championship trophy, I think that I would be on board to retire in number 3 because Dylan Cruz. I know that we've had a lot of greats come through the program. In the modern era, we have Alex Bregman, but man, Dylan Cruz is a player that you would never think that you have on your college
No.
campus. So ultimately think for him, just for a fan perspective, I want Dylan Cruz to take home the Golden Spikes.
All right. Well, down in the comments, let us know who your pick is to take home the gold spikes, your predictions for the Super Regional, and if you think that Dylan Cruz, number 3, should be retired in Baton Rouge. I agree with you, Tyler. If he wins the national championship, retire. Hell, retire Paul Skeens also. If he breaks the record from Ben McDonald and wins the national championship, number 20 and number 3 should be hanging in the rafters. So that wraps up our weekly episode of Bayou Bengal Bites. Shout out to Sports Ramble Podcast. If you want more in-depth sports news, check out our podcast. We release every week. And of course, for all your other sports, head on over to Belly Up Sports YouTube page. Check out our network. Great people over there. With that, we leave everybody with a Go Tigers, and we hope next week we see you in Omaha.